Hi everyone, John Poker Chip Friedberg here with another episode of Stacking Chips, your strategy source for the 2007 World Series of Poker, the Bellagio Cup, and the dozens of other events going on right here in lovely Las Vegas. Today's Saturday. It's the second of 4 no-limit hold'em tournaments in a row for me. Yesterday was a $2,000 no-limit, which I lasted about 3 hours, just completely ran cold and didn't get any cards, and tried making one move with a 9-5 and ran into pocket fours, and of course he flopped a 4. Today is going to be the 1,500 no limit, and again, because it's a Saturday, I expect the field to be humongous, probably somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 players, so it should be a great prize pool. Tomorrow's another no limit event. It's a $3,000 no limit, and of course Monday is I think a 2,500 six-handed no limit event, which, funny, my guest today actually won that event last year. I'll be having Dutch Boyd on the show today to talk a little bit about his final table that he's in right now and the $3,000 buy-in 7-card stud 8 or better championship. Dutch is a very well-known player. He had his first sort of major debut in the 2003 World Series of Poker, where he finished 12th place, that eventually Chris Moneymaker went on to win. So that being said, let's bring him out. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dutch Boyd. Dutch, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Hey,
glad to have you here. So I've been talking to you throughout the World Series about coming on as a guest on the show. We finally locked in a date 2 days ago, and now here you are. Today's Saturday, and you're at the final table of the 7-card stud high-low split $3,000 event.
I know, how crazy is that, right? I say I'm going to be on your show, and then boom, final table.
Amazing how that works.
It's nice.
And by the way, Scott Clements was also a guest on the show about a week ago, and he took down his second bracelet yesterday.
Well, hopefully I'll be doing that too.
I hope so. So how are you doing in chips? Tell us a little bit about the tournament you're in right now.
Let's see, it's the Championship Stud High-Low tournament. It started with 230-something players. Let's see, I have 170,000 in chips, which is, at this point in the tournament, everyone is pretty short-stacked. I think when we're going to come back playing, we're playing 8,000, 16,000 with like $2,000 antes. So I'm third in chips. Or fourth in chips, pretty much tied for third. I have 10 big bets in front of me. Everybody is short stacked going into this thing, and Stud High Low is kind of one of those games where there's not a lot of room for making moves. I mean, maybe you disagree with this, but in my opinion, Stud High Low is a game where you have to have a hand and you have to show it down. So it's really anybody's game at this point. There's a lot of tough players at the table. We've got, I think I counted it up to 10 bracelets at the final table. Sklansky with his 3. Scotty Wynn has 4. Thor Hansen has 2. I have 1. Let's see, who else? Eli Alezra, he doesn't have 1, but I know that he, probably of anyone at the final table, he probably wants it the worst. Besides me, I mean, I want it the worst. Eli Alezra has the chip lead. He's been, from what I've heard, I haven't run into him yet. He hasn't been at my table, but from what I've heard, he's just been playing like a maniac, playing every hand, calling on 4th Street when he's in with 3 babies and he hits his high card. That's, in my opinion, that's just like against everything I know about Stud High Low. I mean, Sklansky wrote the book on Stud High Low, and in there it says fold on 4th Street paint rule. I guess the rules don't apply.
Well, certainly not to Eli Alezra, who is a very aggressive player. So what do you think as far as stud 8 or better? Some people say you have to play for a lie. You have to play for a high, hoping your opponents don't get a low. Others say that you need to play only for a low, and perhaps you'll make a high also. What's your viewpoint on the game?
My viewpoint is it depends on how many players are in. If there's going to be a lot of players in, I think the high hands are pretty much worthless. As the table continues to get shorter and shorter, then it plays a lot more like stud high only. But 8-handed, if I have split kings with like a 2, I'm not going to be raising it. I'm going to be folding it. If even if I have something like a bad 8 draw, and it's also situational too. I mean, so much of what you're going to do and how you're going to play depends on the up cards. Certainly, if I have split kings and there's only one player left to act before the bring in, and everyone folded to me, I'll go ahead and raise it and try to take the pot, because you're really risking very little compared to what you're getting for picking up the blinds and antes, and that's really important. A lot of hands are not going to go past third street, but I don't really know where I was going with that, but that's...
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because there's nothing worse than playing 7-card stud 8 or better, and you start. Let's say you start with split kings or something, and then you make 2 pair right away. You're pounding the hand, and you got 2-3 guys calling, drawing on their lows. It seems like almost every time one of them backs into a flush or a straight or trips or something to take you out. So it's not good to be pounding high hands at a full table, because there's always going to be a low that comes. So A, you only get half the pot, and B, probably more than half the time you lose completely.
I think basically there's 2 spots you don't want to be in stud high-low, and I found myself in these spots a couple times in this tournament, and it really sucks. The first time is just like you said, having a high hand, maybe not even a very strong high hand, maybe split 9s, something stupid. Having a high hand against a made low who might have the straight, might have the flush, and if he doesn't, he's free rolling on you. And the second is having a low draw that bananaed on 5th Street, bananas on 6th Street, and you're sitting here having to pay off bet after bet, hoping that you're going to get half the pot. That's the second. I mean, free rolling goes both ways. In that situation, the high hand is kind of free rolling against the low hand, and I see that a lot when someone starts with, say, a 7-up and they catch a 2. They're not going to be making a straight at that point. They're not free rolling for half the pot, for the whole pot. They're free rolling for half. They're not free rolling at all. They're hoping to get half the pot. And those are the situations you want to be in. Those are the situations you want to put your opponents in, and put pressure on them when you're lucky enough to be in those situations as the favorite.
So leading up to this final table, have you been in pretty good chip position for most of the tournament?
No, I haven't. I've been kind of up and down, and I started day 2 with 7,000. Average was, I think, 11,000. I got short stacked again later on in the day, and was lucky enough to pick up a pretty good sized pot against Mike Matizow. It was actually a pretty interesting hand, if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
I had 12,000. The blinds were, not the blinds. The betting limits were 3,000 and 6,000. So, and the antes, I think, were 500. So 500, 3,000, 6,000. That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting here with 2 big bets and a low card raises it, right? Another low card calls, and I look down and I have split 6s with a 5. And a 6 and a 5 are the 2 cards that are in. So I'm not really that thrilled about my hand. But I'm also thinking, okay, I only have 12,000 here. I'm probably have them beat right now. There's not going to be a lot of low cards in the deck. Maybe they'll brick. I'm going to try to isolate one of them, or maybe I'm just going to get more money in there. So I raise. Mike Matizow is right next to me, and he has a queen showing, and he re-raises, which
perfect.
It was perfect, because now these low draws, they're kind of in a bad way. So they both folded. And I'm sitting there, and I know he has split queens. It's very obvious, and it's very obvious also that I don't have a lot of outs to make 2 pair, or to make trips. But 5-6-6, I'll take it against queen, queen 2. And that's what I did. I took it against it. Ended up backdooring a flush, and that was low. That was pretty much the lowest I got compared to the blinds. I keep on saying blinds. I'm such a Hold'em junkie.
Right. The betting structure. I mean, with stud, there's an ante. There's a bring in. The low card has a bring in, and then there's you can complete to the lower bet and the big bet. So usually, if from my experience anyway in cash games, if you're playing like a 50-100 or something, there's like say a $10 ante, and then like a $30 bring-in or something, and then 1,500 betting. Anyway, I don't know. It's a little bit different. But anyway, so those are really the three components of the betting. There's not usually blinds and stud. So you won a bracelet last year.
Yep.
And a very dramatic televised final table.
Yep.
Where you and Hashem kept getting all the chips in, and then finally on that last hand, you won it on the river.
Yeah.
What would it mean to you to come in here this year and win, have back-to-back bracelet years?
It would mean a lot. I mean, there's kind of, when you win a big tournament like that, there's kind of this fear that you're going to be a one-hit wonder. And, I mean, just making the final table is an accomplishment that I feel really good about. These aren't slouches that I was playing against. These were 234 of the best players. Except for Ted Lawson, who didn't show up for the the whole first day. But
he didn't make it to the final table, did he?
No, he didn't.
He just got blinded off completely?
Yeah, I guess he was playing a Bellagio tournament. He double booked his tournaments, got blinded off so low. Didn't show up 6 hours. He got back after dinner break, and then donked off the rest of his chips with some pretty questionable hands. I'm sure he's a really nice guy, but
yeah, he is.
That's not the way to play a tournament. We're playing the World Series of Poker. You don't treat it like a nooner. I don't really subscribe to these guys who come into tournaments 2 and 3 hours late, let alone 6 hours late. But what was I saying?
We were talking about your winning back-to-back bracelet years.
Winning a
and
bracelet.
How important that would be.
Winning a bracelet would be great.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would react. I honestly don't. I know that I'd be doing a lot less partying than the first time. I think I learned my lesson there.
Yeah.
The money goes pretty quick when you're trying to live it up like a high roller.
It goes very quick, and you know what? It's tough. Also, being in that same situation, it's tough to turn down stuff because everywhere you go, people want to offer you table service, and you're almost like forced to live this lifestyle because you want a bracelet, and it's really
like you inherit this image that you have to live up to.
Right.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It's a lot of responsibility, a lot of discipline. But so how's the rest of your World Series going so far? And what are your plans? Oh, no good, huh?
No, I've played 11 events so far, and this is breaking a streak of a long time without even cashing. And even before the World Series, I played. It's been a while since I've had a final table.
Well, you haven't been around for a while. So you were here. You were around in December. Was it December or October? In the Fiesta El Lago or something?
I was here
at Bellagio.
December was the last. The Fiesta El Lago was the last tournament series I played, and I pretty much whiffed that one. Didn't even get a cash, and I played pretty much every event, and then I suffer from bipolar disorder, so I kind of had a bipolar meltdown, and took some time off of poker just to kind of regroup. So this is the first tournament series I've played since then. So I guess if you go way back, I got a pretty sick run of no cashes.
Yeah.
I keep on making stupid moves, John. I don't know why I do it.
We all do it, brother.
The other day I was in a tournament with Phil Hellmuth, and he limps like 2 off under the gun. 3 or 4 other players limp, and the blinds are 100, 200. I've got 3,700 in chips. So the pot is 1,000 at this point. I'm thinking, I can pick up this pot easy, just push all in. I looked down, I saw a king 5. Good enough, push it all in. Phil Hellmuth had queens. It was so sick. And this is how I've been getting knocked out of tournaments, making stupid moves like that. Putting guys on ace-king when it's obvious they should have kings at least. Calling them with aces, or not aces, 8s or 10s. Making bad calls and bad raises. It's just... I
think that's standard. When I go on long streaks without cashes, I start doing the same thing. You start saying there's no way they can have me beat every time. There's no way they can call my raises every time. And you start getting a little impatient, but it always helps to have a score. And I think think today's going to be your day, so hopefully you will have a score, and that'll sort of put things back in perspective. And when you go 10, 15 events without any cashes, and you start thinking about all the, how much money has added up on that, you get a little, you start to lose your confidence a little bit. You start questioning your own abilities sometimes. But all it takes is that one score in tournament poker that gives you not only all those buy-ins back, but like your next 20 to 50 buy-ins.
Yep.
And then suddenly you're a rock star and you're playing good. And all these players, they'll win one tournament, and it gives them so much confidence, and they feel so good about their game. It allows them to keep playing well and winning more tournaments. So it really seems, and then the same goes, of course, for the opposite. When you're not winning, you continue to not win. So there's really like when it rains, it pours.
It does, and I think so much of that is because of how confidence affects your play. When you're confident about your game, when you know that you're a winning player, you play like a superstar.
Yep.
When you're going without cashing and you're feeling discouraged, you play like a donkey, and that pretty much sums up everybody. I
agree 100%. That's like the 10 commandments of poker right there. Or the 2 commandments, anyway.
2 commandments.
Well, Dutch, today's your day, man. Final table, $3,000 stud 8 or better championship. I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, John.
Thanks for coming on the show.
No problem.
I'll be in the 1500 no limit, which is going to be probably a monster field, but I'll be coming over to rail you as much as I can.
I'd love to come on again sometime, anytime.
Absolutely. Well, win this event, buddy. We'll have you back on. All right, everybody. That's it for today's episode of Stacking Chips. Make sure to tune in tomorrow and every day throughout the World Series for more strategy talk, discussions, interviews, and more right here on Card Player TV. And keep those emails coming in at stackingchips@cardplayer.com. From John Poker Chip Friedberg
and Dutch Boyd,
we're out of here. Good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.